This is a special report from 10 News, the News Sentinel, and News Talk 100, Term Limit Turmoil.
Good evening, I'm Robin Wilhoit.
And I'm Bill Williams. In just 2 days, 12 Knox County leaders will be replaced. We'll have a new sheriff, a new county clerk, a new register of deeds, trustee, and 8 new county commissioners.
And in the next hour, you will hear from some of the people who want to be appointed to those positions. As of today, at least 67 people have expressed interest in those jobs. But first, here's how we got to this point. It all started back in 1988 when Knox County voters approved a home rule charter allowing the county to have more authority over its governance. Then, in 1994, voters okayed term limits, but they weren't enforced when the state attorney general issued an opinion in the next year that term limits were unconstitutional. Now, last March, all that changed when the Supreme Court upheld term limits in Shelby County, the only other county in Tennessee with a charter form of government.
With elections on the way, 5 county commissioners who'd already served 2 terms sued to have the entire charter ruled invalid, and they won. While the state Supreme Court was considering an appeal, 4 of the commissioners who sued and 4 others were reelected back in August.
Well, the High Court's decision finally came earlier this month. They upheld the county charter and term limits. But not just for county commissioners. In a surprise move, they included other county offices. The sheriff, trustee, register of deeds, and county clerk would need to be replaced as well. We've got a lot to talk about this evening. Joining us today from our news partners are Jack McElroy from the News Sentinel and Halloran Hilton Hill from News Talk 100. Welcome, gentlemen. Appreciate you being here.
Hi, and we'll be with you throughout the hour as we discuss the term limits ruling, the process for appointing new officials. We're going to hear from some of those people who want those jobs.
But let's start with the legal process, how all this came about, what the Supreme Court ruling said about appointing those officials.
And for that, we're joined by 3 men with a lot of knowledge in that area. Knoxville attorney Tom McAdams, who argued this case before the state Supreme Court. Bruce Anderson, who chaired the Charter Review Committee. And also John Owing, who is Knox County's law director. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening.
And we want to get straight to the questions. Mr. Owing, I'm going to put this to you, and gentlemen, please chime in whenever you feel the need to do so. But first of all, exactly what did the Supreme Court say in this ruling? And guidance, what guidance did they give?
Well, I think they gave us a lot of guidance. And they actually gave us guidance through a footnote. In law school, we learned to read the footnotes first. Footnote 13, the Supreme Court says that we shall proceed to replace these county commissioners and the 4 other constitutional offices by way of the Tennessee Constitution. Article 7, Section 2 says the Knox County Commission replaces all vacancies in office. What the Supreme Court found was that the Charter of Knox County is a de facto charter, basically upholding, I believe, what the voters passed in 1990 as a charter form of government. The Supreme Court found that the officials, though, that were elected this past August were ineligible to serve. The Supreme Court then crafted, I think, a special remedy for Knox County. They said in their opinion, on page 34, the page of the opinion, they said that these officials could continue to serve in their positions until their successors are named in accordance with law. And that's where they cite in footnote 13 the state constitution, Article 7, Section 2, which provides that the legislative body makes the appointments.
But the Supreme Court did not lay out any parameters which should all be done.
That's right. They leave that to the legislative body. Correct. The legislative body has guns in place for vacancies. These are not the first vacancies that we've had in Knox County. So, we go to the Charter of Knox County for guidance, and we go to the rules of the commission for further guidance.
Mr. McAdams, on the day that this came down, some of us here at the station talking with you, and I recall you saying that this was a well-written opinion.
It was an amazingly extensive opinion. Sometimes the Supreme Court will reach a dispositive point in the proceedings and say, this is our ruling on this major issue, and now we're going to remand it to the local trial court to flesh out what that really means and how that applies. In this case, we had all asked the Supreme Court to go as far as they could go in deciding the questions of, is the charter valid, is the term limits amendment valid, and who does it apply to, and what happens next? And the Supreme Court went that distance and answered all of those questions, even down to, as John pointed out, what the process would be of how the replacements were selected. So it was a very thorough, very well-written opinion.
How did they determine the validity of the charter? What did they say was the turning point for them that made them go, this charter is valid, term limits are valid?
I think what did it for them is that they said that there were some problems in the process, some technicalities that were not complied with, some filings that were not made along the way, but that none of those things were of sufficient consequence that it should throw out a form of government that had been selected by the people. The bottom line of what the court said was it was clear what the people wanted, it was clear what the people intended to do by large margins on the charter and on the term limits amendment, and these problems that occurred along the way are not enough that we're going to take that form of government away from the people. The Supreme Court has that luxury. The trial court generally has to follow the precedent that he's handed, but the Supreme Court can take that broader view, and they did in this case.
Mr. Anderson, is the charter fixed, though, at this point? Is there more work to be done?
Well, I think that the problems that Chancellor Weaver found in the charter, I think, have been fixed in the last referendum, and the three amendments that we adopted, I think, took care of those problems. I think that the Supreme Court used common sense and decided this, sort of in answer, Howard, to your question, and came up with a remedy that used common sense and adopted law at the same time, and put us in a situation where our charter, I think, is valid. We can move forward and keep government the way it is.
Gentlemen, we have more questions for you, but we're going to get to them later. Right now, we want to get into some of the candidates for commission, and some of the commissioners we'll ask you back later, all right?
Now, we tried to invite everyone who expressed interest in one of the open positions by Friday to stop by our studio and to give us a 30-second statement about themselves. For those who couldn't do that, we do have a list of their names. And there's much more information about those people at our website, WBIR.com, so at knoxnews.com.
Now, you really don't get to vote for these people, but you can contact your county commissioner, give them your opinion. The number to the county commission office, you may want to write this down, 215-2534. Again, that's 215-2534. We also got we have phone numbers for the county commissioners on the website. For the individual county commissioners, our website is WBIR.com. There are 8 available seat county commission. In the first district, that's Diane George's seat. The district is currently represented by Billy Tyndall. Both seats, District 4, will be open. They have Bill Guta and John Schmidt.
John Grease will be replaced in the 5th District as Will Wood. In the 8th District is currently ready. John Mills, 9th by Larry Clark. Here are those who want to replace them.
Hi, I'm Nick Delaveau. I'm asking you to consider me for Commission 1A. I'm an attorney, and I've lived in this area over 33 years. I'm a community activist. We have a diverse community, but a very good community. I think I can be available to listen to you, needs, and to fight for you in front of County Commission. I ask you to ask the commissioners to consider me as your representative for this interim period. Thank you.
My name is Leslie Terry, and I've submitted a candidate application for the 1st District seat at the Knox County Commission, term limited seat held by Ann Jordan. I'd like to encourage the Knox County to begin contacting their elected officials, and you can do this via email or by telephone, and let them know what your preferences are in this appointment process. And I thank you for your time.
I'm a reporter, and I am seeking the appointment for County Commissioner CB. Not only am I wanting to serve and represent the people of the 2nd District, but I want to work with the other 18 county commissioners in order to accomplish the goal of Knox County government. Those goals are better education, children and youth, more job opportunities, and the caring and welfare of our citizens. Allow me to serve the 2nd District and assist the county mayor in making Knox County a better place to work and play.
Good evening, Knoxville. I'm Jonathan Wimmer, and I am again seeking to be on your Knox County Commission. My professional background, with years in public finance and running a local family business, valuable experience. Having served on the 4th and Guild Board for 4 years, including 2 as president, has taught me the power of civic action. I will fight for the reinvigoration of our district's neighborhood schools and businesses. My wife, Kelly, son James,